Could a tornado outbreak be next? Weather update, American cities number 149. Alright, let's dive right into the weather. It's the middle of the week, February 18th, 2026, and we've got a lot on our plate. A serious tornado threat is brewing for the Ohio Valley tomorrow, and a sneaky snow system is lurking right behind it. But first, we have to touch on the heartbreaking fire situation unfolding in Oklahoma. The Ranger Road fire has been intense, scorching over 145 acres. Tragically, it's injured 4 firefighters and has already destroyed several homes in its path. The images coming from the scene are just devastating. Those same powerful, dry winds fanning the flames are the very ones now racing eastward. This dry air is about to slam into a wall of moisture, and that collision is what's setting the stage for chaos. This atmospheric clash is why the Storm Prediction Center has issued a slight risk for severe weather. If you're anywhere between St. Louis and Columbus, you need to be on high alert. This includes major cities like Louisville, Cincinnati, and Indianapolis. We're not just talking about a little thunder and rain here. These storms are expected to pack a serious punch, capable of producing very large hail, destructive straight-line winds, and yes, even a few tornadoes. The situation is definitely volatile. The main window to be concerned about is Thursday afternoon into the evening. Think between 2 p.m. and 10 p.m. That's the prime time when the atmosphere will be at its most unstable and capable of supporting these dangerous, rotating thunderstorms. Now let's get specific with the tornado risk. The area shaded in brown on the forecast maps is under a 5% probability. That means if you're in that zone, there's a 5% chance of a tornado occurring within 25 miles of your location during this event. That 5% bullseye includes some heavily populated areas, so please take this seriously. We're talking about Evansville, Louisville, Cincinnati, and Indianapolis. Millions of people are in the path of this primary threat zone for potential tornadoes. There's also a broader 2% risk area that stretches from just south of Chicago all the way down into Bowling Green, Kanakaka. This zone also covers Columbus, Ohio, and a large portion of the St. Louis metro. A 2% risk is not zero, so stay aware. So what could this look like as it unfolds? It seems we're in for a 1-2 punch scenario. The first wave of storms is expected to fire up in Illinois and parts of Kentucky just after the noon hour, kicking off a long afternoon of unsettled weather. Here's the really tricky part. After that first line of storms moves through, some folks might think the danger is over. But with the sun still out, the atmosphere can quickly recover, reheating and becoming unstable all over again for a second round. This recharging of the atmosphere is what could lead to a second, possibly more dangerous, wave of storms later in the evening. These later storms could be more isolated, which often allows them to tap into the environment's energy more efficiently. For everyone in and around Indianapolis, it's shaping up to be a very long day. Storms could start rumbling around 3 or 4 p.m. and continue well past 10 p.m. Expect intermittent heavy rain, constant lightning, and that isolated tornado threat all evening. After about 10 or 11 p.m., the severe threat should begin to calm down. However, lingering showers and a few claps of thunder will continue to push eastward through places like Pittsburgh, West Virginia, and down into Tennessee through the overnight hours. The most critical message for tomorrow is to have your safety plan ready to go now. Know where your safe spot is, whether it's a basement or an interior room. When a warning is issued, you need to be able to act instantly. Don't be scared. Be prepared. Let's peek under the hood at the meteorology of this setup because it's quite fascinating. We're looking at what we call a low cape, high shear environment. This combination can be particularly tricky and very potent for producing tornadoes. CAPE, which stands for Convective Available Potential Energy, is essentially the fuel for thunderstorms. It's the warm, moist air that allows storms to grow explosively. For this event, there actually isn't a massive amount of it, which is unusual. But the ingredient we have in abundance is wind shear. Picture winds changing speed and, more importantly, direction as you go up in the atmosphere. This creates a horizontal rolling motion in the air, a key ingredient for any storm that wants to rotate. So even without a ton of raw fuel, that intense wind shear can take any storm that develops and get it spinning like a top. That's why we're so concerned about tornadoes tomorrow, as even smaller storms can become dangerous in this kind of environment. Another piece of the puzzle is the temperature. It's going to feel like a beautiful spring day ahead of these storms. We're talking about tongue climbing into the upper 60s, all the way into Illinois, with places like Louisville possibly hitting 70 degrees. But don't get comfortable with that warmth. A powerful cold front is hot on the heels of these storms. We're expecting a massive temperature drop, with readings plummeting down into the 30s by Friday morning. It's going to be a real shock to the system. This is the definition of weather whiplash. It is entirely possible for some communities to be under a tornado warning in the evening and then see snowflakes or flurries just 12 hours later. It's a jarring snap back to the reality of late winter. And speaking of winter, let's shift our focus to the East Coast. There's a ton of buzz online about a potential nor'easter setting up for this coming Sunday into Monday. This has the potential to be a high-impact event, so we're watching it very closely. The most important thing to know right now is that confidence is still very low. We are tracking a coastal low that could develop, but its exact track, strength, and timing are all still very much up in the air. The forecast will absolutely change. The potential area of impact is enormous. We're talking about a zone stretching all the way from eastern Canada down through the mid-Atlantic. This includes the entire I-95 corridor from Washington, D.C., through Philadelphia, New York City, and up to Boston. You are going to see some wild-looking snow maps plastered all over social media in the coming days. Please, I urge you to take them with a massive grain of salt. Ignore any specific snowfall totals for now, as they are pure speculation at this point. One particular computer model, the GFS, has been showing a more southern track. This scenario would bring a major snowstorm to places like Washington, D.C., Richmond, Delaware, and southern New Jersey. This is the kind of map that tends to go viral online. But remember, that is just one of many possibilities. Other models show the storm tracking further out to sea, which would mean just rain and wind for the coast. The eventual truth is likely somewhere in between these two extremes, and we have to wait for clarity. It is certainly plausible that we could see a powerful storm strengthen off the coast, pulling in just enough cold air to produce a band of very heavy snow. Right now, it seems areas north of D.C. and just inland have the best chance of seeing this happen. While the East Coast waits and watches, winter is already in full force in other parts of the country. A legitimate blizzard is currently hammering parts of Minnesota and the Upper Peninsula of Michigan with blinding snow and ferocious winds. Stay safe up there. And we can't forget about the West Coast. The mountains in California have been getting absolutely buried under an incredible amount of snow. We're talking about feet upon feet of fresh powder in the higher elevations, a welcome sight for their water supply. However, if we zoom out and look at the big picture for the country over the next 2 weeks, winter doesn't seem to have much staying power. The overwhelming signal in the long-range forecast is for a pattern dominated by widespread above-average warmth. Almost the entire lower 48 is forecast to be warmer than normal. This is especially true for the nation's heartland, from Texas and Oklahoma all the way up to the Dakotas. For many, it's going to feel much more like late March than late February. There will still be brief cold snaps, like the one set to hit the Ohio Valley this weekend, but the overarching theme is warmth. So when you get those sunny mild days, be sure to get outside and enjoy them. Spring is definitely trying to make an early entrance. That's the main weather story as we see it right now. It is a very busy and dynamic forecast with a lot of moving parts, from fires to tornadoes to potential blizzards. Please make sure you stay up to date with the latest information as these systems evolve. We are very likely going to be live tomorrow afternoon and evening tracking the severe weather threat across the Ohio Valley as it happens. Make sure you have your notifications turned on so you get instant alerts for any warnings. Stay safe, everyone.